I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the United Republic of Tanzania.
Your Excellency, President of the General Assembly, Your Excellency Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates. I'm pleased to deliver this statement on behalf of His Excellency Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, who could not virtually join this August Assembly due to the ongoing general elections campaign in the country. His Excellency President Magufuli is vying for the second presidential term at the election scheduled on 28 October 2020. The government of Tanzania would like to renew its resolve in ensuring that this year's campaigns and elections are conducted in a democratic, peaceful, credible, fair manner and transparently, as Tanzania has done in all her elections without fail since 1965. Mr. President, the United Republic of Tanzania extends warm congratulations to you on your assumption of the presidency of the General Assembly. I assure you of my delegation's full support and cooperation in discharging your noble mandate. I also pay tribute to your predecessor, His Excellency Professor Tijan Mohamed Bande, for his excellent leadership and commitment as demonstrated during his tenure of office in the face of difficult times. Mr. President, it is with great sadness that in July 2020, Tanzania lost one of its great leaders, the late Benjamin William Mkapa, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania. At this juncture, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you all for the messages of condolences. Mr. President, this year's general debate hinges on multilateralism, which matches very well with our major preoccupation to ensure no one is left behind. We welcome and fully endorse the theme for this general debate. You are taking on the presidency during the challenging times as the world is battling through the COVID-19 pandemic. This is unprecedented. The outbreak and spread of COVID-19 in the world reminds us that we need to enhance solidarity within the multilateral system to confront our global challenges. The pandemic has drastically claimed a lot of lives and distorted economies of individual countries and the world at large. I would hereby like to convey our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and relatives of those who passed on and wish quick recovery to those who are undergoing treatment. In the same context, Tanzania appreciates all initiatives within the United Nations system to mobilize efforts to confront the pandemic, including sharing necessary practices to avoid its further spreading. At the national level, the government has taken concerted and decisive actions to mitigate and prevent the spread of COVID-19. These measures have so far provided positive results in fighting the pandemic in our country. Today, all socio-economic activities have resumed to normal. Despite the success, we cannot deny the adverse impacts of the pandemic in our country and the world at large, especially to least developed and developing countries. We express our sincere appreciation to the development partners, including international financial institutions that have complemented our national efforts in the fight against the pandemic through debt relief, postponement of debt payments, and provision of grants. In the same spirit, Tanzania further urges international financial institutions and development partners to devise mechanisms to provide resources to complement efforts of least developed and developing countries in the fight against the pandemic through unconditional terms. This includes, but should not be limited to, further debt relief measures to enable these countries to revamp their economies more speedily. Mr. President, as we mark the 75th anniversary of our organization, the United Republic of Tanzania would like to reaffirm our shared commitment in maintaining the pillars of the United Nations: peace and security, human rights, and development. The independence of Tanzania remains one of the remarkable testimonies of the commitments of the United Nations to ideals of its charter. The United Nations was instrumental in facilitating our independence. Tanzania remained a committed member of the United Nations, and through the Committee on Decolonization, Tanzania has supported many liberation struggles for other fellow states to regain their independences. Equally over the years, Tanzania has participated in promoting the pillars of the United Nations in matters of peace and security and in working towards a sustainable future that we all foresee. We are proud to have participated under the umbrella of the United Nations in peacekeeping operations. Currently, we have over 2,303 peacekeepers in 6 missions. Tanzania believes that peace and security are the cornerstone of our socio-economic development. Mr. President, there is no doubt that multilateralism is an important tool for collaboration among nations, as the United Nations has ably demonstrated. As we enter the decade of action for 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we continue to believe that the United Nations is ultimately the right platform to address global challenges. In implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the current government of Tanzania has accomplished a number of achievements in various sectors. Our national economy is growing at a rate of 6.9% as compared to 6.2% in 2015. Indeed, COVID-19 has resulted in a lower growth projection to 5.5%, hence the need for relief to support a more vibrant economic growth projection. Inflation rates have remained stable at a single digit of 4.4% and recorded lowest rate of 3.4% in 2019. As a result, on the 1st July 2020, the World Bank announced the upgrade of Tanzanian economy from least developed to lower middle income status, 5 years before the envisioned time in the year 2025 under the National Development Vision. This milestone has been a result of different national measures mainly focused on clamping down corruption, improving public administrations, and proper management of public and natural resources. This achievement has also been possible because of government's reforms and partnership with various development partners. We would therefore wish to extend our sincere gratitude to the United Nations through its specialized agencies, funds, and programs, and other development partners. Mr. President, in efforts to integrate the economic and human development, progress has been made in improving infrastructure necessary for provision of social services. For instance, in the last 5 years, a total of 1,769 health facilities around the country that range from dispensaries to referral hospitals have been constructed. Additionally, the construction and rehabilitation of water infrastructures have led to improved access to clean and safe water by 70.1% in rural areas and 84% in urban areas. Rural electrification has enabled a total of 9,112 out of 12,268 villages in Tanzania to have electricity. Mr. President, 25 years since the Beijing platform, inequality still remains in the world. Despite the challenges which still exist, Tanzania has been able to put in place different national frameworks to guide the implementation of gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls, including mainstreaming of gender equality objectives in all government policies and programs. In terms of promotion of right to education, the government has also overseen major construction and rehabilitation of learning and teaching facilities, as well as the provision of free education in primary and secondary schools. This has raised primary school enrollment from 1 million in the year 2015 to 1.6 million in 2020. As a result, the number of secondary school enrollment has also increased from 1.6 million in the year 2015 to 2.1 million in this year. Mr. President, the government has enhanced the interconnectedness and has managed to construct 3,500 kilometers of roads and numerous large bridges in the past 5 years. Moreover, the government has managed to rehabilitate major ports and other transport facilities ranging from standard gauge railway that runs through central Tanzania and the revival of other railway transport facilities in the Eastern Corridor. Other milestones include construction and rehabilitation of ships to improve water transport and connectivity in areas surrounded by water bodies. The government has also overseen the procurement of 11 aircrafts, out of which 8 are in operation for commercial purposes. Mr. President, in an effort to build industrial economy in Tanzania, we have embarked on the establishment of 8,477 new industries of large, medium, and small categories. This has gone hand in hand with construction of a major hydroelectric power plant in the Rufiji River that will have a capacity to provide 2,115 megawatts of electricity, enough to boost up energy supply in industries. Our blueprint for industrial economy and human development seeks to address the infrastructure and regulatory hurdles and thereby create a smart, functional, and fair investment and business regulatory regime. May I therefore make use of this opportunity to invite and encourage international investors to come and invest in different sectors in Tanzania. We have a stable and favorable investment environment and look forward to welcome you all. Mr. President, at this point I would like to expound on a number of issues that my government feels require particular international attention and therefore necessary to voice out. Mr. President, we ought to remind ourselves that the credibility of the United Nations rests on a well-represented and responsive Security Council. In this respect, we wish to reiterate the common African position as elaborated in a Zuluwini Consensus and Suivez Declaration. On 17 August 2020, Tanzania handed over the chairmanship of the Southern Africa Development Community to Mozambique. Tanzania is proud to have served SADC for a period of 1 year amidst a number of challenges encountered and accomplished milestones in the peace and security, democracy and good governance, financial integration, and social development spheres. These achievements are telling of the commitment that Tanzania has always had and continues to spearhead in deeds on regional integrations and international relations. Mr. President, on 25 October 2019, Tanzania joined other SADC countries to commemorate the Solidarity Day against sanctions in Zimbabwe. We continue to call for the removal of all forms of unilateral coercive measures in form of sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe to pave way for socio-economic transformation and economic development of the country. Mr. President, the swearing in of His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye, the President of the Republic of Burundi, in June 2020, culminated the long-awaited presidential elections in Burundi. With this peaceful conclusion of the elections, Tanzania urges the international community to complement the new government by providing much-needed assistance for economic and social development of the citizenry of Burundi and the region at large. Tanzania reiterates its position of support for a stable, peaceful, and prosperous Democratic Republic of Congo. We commend the efforts made so far by the United Nations, SADC region, and the whole international community in making this happen. In this regard, we would further like to stress that continued and pragmatic engagement is crucial in order to accommodate SADC's positions to the reconfiguration of the Force Intervention Brigade in order to maintain its effective defense capability, the operational effectiveness, and its units of command and control. Mr. President, Tanzania has always expressed that the economic embargo imposed on Cuba in 1960 has outlived its relevance. Tanzania encourages both parties to engage in constructive dialogue towards the total removal of these embargoes. On the question of Palestine, we continue to support the resolution of conflict between Israel and Palestine, which hinges on the two-state solution, living side by side in peace and security. Mr. President, I wish to conclude by pledging before this Assembly that the United Republic of Tanzania will continue to render necessary support to the United Nations in ensuring success in all important global agenda, including promotion of equality and self-determination of nations, peace and security, human rights, development, implementation of Agenda 2030, and the UN reform processes. Once again, the United Republic of Tanzania reiterates its commitment to multilateralism and calls upon all member states to embrace it for a just and better world. God bless the United Republic of Tanzania. God bless Africa. God bless the United Nations. And God bless you all. I thank you for your kind attention.
I thank the distinguished representative of the United Republic of Tanzania for his statement. We have heard